All right, so this team here started as a small group. John had written a book called Soul Revolution, if you guys remember. And this group met up there at the beginning of that when he asked us to do the 60-60, the study. And we decided to do it together. And we were all a bunch of misfits, I'm telling you. We had all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Lots of brokenness, addiction, abuse, incarceration, divorce. I mean, you name it, man. We had it all. And through the 60-60, it was kind of a launch for us. And that was basically just agreeing to pray every 60 minutes and kind of get you into a routine of praying to God, going to God with things that you need. But we were doing it together. We were meeting once a week. We were talking about our struggles, talking about our junk. We were loving on each other. We'd make some food and eat together. We'd celebrate and go out, do scavenger hunts around Austin together. What we were doing is we were doing life together. That simple act of coming together and doing those things healed every single person in this circle. I mean, I'm telling you, we came from craziness, including myself. And we sit here now and we're able to worship God wholeheartedly. I'm not saying we're perfect. That's why the record's called Perfect Mess. What you do together in your community with people that you love to hang out with, people that you do life with, that's real church. So I want to introduce these guys. I've never done that before. So that guy, put your hand up. That's Colin over there. Colin has had a whirlwind in the last 2 years, fought and struggled through some crazy stuff. And you'll hear more about that later. But that's Colin. To his right is Jamie. Put your hand up, Jamie. Jamie's been doing ministry for years and years and years, and it was a blessing for me to come on staff and have him partner with me. And he led Deepen evening service for a while, and just, man, really, really blessed me and a lot of people here. So I'm grateful, Jamie. To his right, Dominique. Put your hand up, Dom. Beautiful, beautiful voice, beautiful heart. And I got an opportunity to pastor Dominique and what was her boyfriend, then her fiance, and then got to marry them. So it was a beautiful thing for me. To her right, Monique. Put your hand up. Monique can sing, and she sings with her heart. She sings with what's inside, and it's amazing. And she's brought so much joy into this camp. She's also very passionate, so there's a lot of love and crying and just beauty that oozes from her. So I'm really grateful for what she's done and how she serves us. To her right, this gentleman right here, put your hand up. You can stop playing. That's Lee. Lee is the first person that I met when I came to Austin. It was by accident. A buddy of mine had just drove into town and was doing a show at Stubbs and called me last minute and said, "Man, don't you live in Austin?" I said, "Yeah, as of yesterday." He said, "Well, come down here and play with me." I said, "All right." So I came down and I met Lee, and Lee told me about Gateway. So that very next Sunday, ouch, I came here. And there's one more beautiful story about Lee. Lee and I have done music together. I produced some music for him, and he was sending me new songs for a new record, and he sent me this piece of music with no words on it, just music. Man, I fell in love with this music, and I called him back and said, "Look, I know you're making this record, and it's going to be great, but this piece of music right here, I think this is a worship song. Do you mind if I try to write around this song?" He said, "Yeah, sure, man. I'd love to see what you come up with." That is Luminaria. That's the song that you guys sang first when we walked in here. So Mr. Lee Simmons. This gentleman right here, he's a newbie. He's about 2 months in. This is Clay. Clay called me to do a record last year. It was the first time we met. I came in and I think we just had a blast, man. We blasted through a record, and we figured out we were kindred spirits on so many levels, and I invited him to come play with us. He did Christmas with us, and now he's in. He can't get out. There's Clay. My partner over here, this is Freddie. Don't cry, man. You're going to make me cry. Man, we have been through just beautiful, beautiful, crazy stuff together. And you're going to hear these stories unfold later, and I'll tell you how. But just real quick, when I met Freddie, man, it was a really tough time in his life. This guy had a hard time getting out of the house. And I'm not kidding. We had to drive to where he was living and force him to come to group, force him to come play music. And I remember there was a time, like maybe 7 or 8 months ago, he was like driving to Dallas to do a gig, driving back to do Sunday here, and then doing something in San Antonio that night. And I said, dude, 6 months ago, you wouldn't leave your home. Now I can't get you to stay in your home. So this is Fred. And again, you're going to hear these stories more in depth, but this is Fred. Beautiful partner, beautiful person. This crazy guy right here, this is Sergio. Put your hand up, dude. Sergio and I met in California. Sergio was playing in this really fun, like, worship band. Nothing big. The band eventually became Lifehouse. Yeah, that's a founding member of Lifehouse right there. And I remember, I got to tell this story. The first time I met Sergio, we get on stage, we're doing worship together down in Los Angeles. And I swear, I'm like, man, that guy looks high. Sergio's really mellow. And in California, when someone's really mellow, usually they're smoking something. So I'm thinking, this guy's smoking, and I'm thinking, how could the worship leader let this guy on stage when he's high? And I'm passing all kinds of judgment on the guy. Little do I know, the guy has never even tasted alcohol. It's just his demeanor, man. He's a mellow guy. He keeps this group completely grounded, and I love him for that. Sergio. The guy to his right, and I'll make this quick. Not that quick, though. This is Jacob, guys. Jacob went from, man, I don't know about church, to a music pastor up here on this stage. Amazing story. You'll hear more of it, but someone who's very dear to my heart, I would say kindred spirit musically. He helped me produce this record that you guys are going to take home. I love making music with this guy, and I'm so thankful for his heart. This is Jacob. Yeah. Beautiful young lady to his right. You guys all met her. Her name is Sarah Overall. Yeah. You've heard Sarah's story. I'm sure you've got her CD by now. If you haven't, please get it. Yeah, you've heard everything about her. I don't want to keep going because I'll just go for hours. Beautiful person, amazing songs. Thank you, Sarah. Young lady to her right. Put your hand up, Lauren. That's Lauren.
Fresh.
Lauren showed up. Her family moved about 4 doors down from my house. She came to what was a 180, which is like an evening service similar to this once, and she said, hey, I want to audition. I said, well, I don't really audition people, but, we can figure it out. So they came to the house and sat on the piano, and she played me this song. And I remember sitting her down, and I'm very honest when it comes to music, and I'll tell you the truth of how I really feel, and then I'll tell you how much I can help you, and I'll be willing to go however far you want to go. And so I shared her through what I thought, and then we started working together, and about 6 months later, I said, Lauren, I really think you're a worship leader. She was trying to do music in secular industry. I said, I think you're a worship leader. She did not like that at all. She's been singing worship since she was probably 8 years old. And that's all she knew. And so when you come up in it, sometimes you think there's greater things, better things elsewhere. But we worked through it, and Lauren is my writing partner on most of these songs on this record. Her and Jacob, 3 of us sat together and pounded out most of these songs. She's definitely a worship leader. She's extremely talented, and I just love her to death. That's Lauren. She's also 20 years old, by the way. So I met her when she was, I think, 17. The lady to her right, you guys saw her story. That's Erica. Amazing story of life change. You saw our story on the screens, one of the services previously or earlier this year. So you know her by now, but I love Erica. She brings so much wisdom and unity to these girls. She gathers them, she meets with them, and she loves on them, and she pastors them. She's a rock, and I love her for that. And she's going to write a book. And we're praying that she finishes that book soon, because it's an amazing story. But that's Erica. And last but absolutely not least.
No.
Huh? Oh, yeah. I'll come back to you in a second. At the end there, that's Orhan playing the viola. I met Orhan at Philip's house. Philip's back there. We were out. Philip had a nice yard, and there was a campfire and stuff. We were hanging out talking, and Orhan tells me this story about following a girl to Austin from Berlin, a girl that had broke his heart. He came back to get her, and he was struggling with didn't seem like it was going to work out. And I said to him, sometimes we follow the wrong things in the right place, man. And he held on to that. And it's a crazy thing, but I say this all the time. Orhan is my Jesus-loving Muslim. Most amazing story ever. That's Orhan. My man back here, put your hand up, James. That's James. James and I have probably gone through about 3 cycles over the 2 years of connecting, working really hard on something, and then distance. Connecting, distance, and these amazing seasons. Well, this time when he came around, I locked him in, and I made him do some songs with us. And I'm slowly trying to pull him into this circle, and he's in. I feel like we're just getting started. Like this story right here, next year, this story right here is going to be up on that screen, and it's going to blow people away. And so I don't want to tell it yet. I'm going to let it unfold. But that's James, guys. Amazing use of words.
And this is Rami Anton, everybody. Yes.
Yeah, Charles, you guys know Charles. He's the executive pastor here. He sucker punched me and asked me if I'd help out with South Campus, just help with the music. And I said, man, I got to pray about that. I don't know about that. I'm not a pastor. I just do music. And, here we are 3 years later, and this is what I'm doing. I'm in love with this. And I love how you guys have worshiped with us and loved us through our seasons and been okay with us struggling through things and just being okay with us being imperfect. It really gives us freedom to fall on our face, but also to create. And so we love you guys. We really, really love you guys for this. And before we go into communion, let's go ahead and pass the elements, though. Before we go into communion, this record right here that we made, this is just a tool. What we really want to do is we want to make a film. We want to make a documentary where we tell each of our stories in depth, the crazy places that we were, and the beautiful place that God brought us through this church, through community, through the things that happen here. The reason why I want to do that is because I really believe in that scripture. I believe that story helps people realize life change is real. It's not just something that's talked about. It's not an action that you just walk through, you coast through. You can really get life change. It's possible with God. And I believe in that scripture. Hey, Philip, can you put that up, the scripture? And so there's no price on this CD. All I want to ask you to do is just contribute what you want. If it's $25, man, thank you so much. If it's $100, thank you so much. If it's $1,000, thank you so much. If it's nothing, I don't care. I just want you to take this home. But know that every single penny that you're giving us is going towards that documentary, and that documentary is going to be our ministry. Because that documentary, that kind of media, movies, those things can go into places that we can't physically.
You